morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Monday, July 17th, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, Repenning, James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning. Frank Rinaldi with the Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning. Hee-Sang Kim from Bureau of Sanitation.
Chris Enriquez, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Hector Banuelos, Bureau of Street Services.
Morning, Steve Chan, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we did receive a speaker card under General Public Comment. We have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council Comment section, and we also received speaker cards on all the items for today's agenda.
Okay, you can bring those around. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Wednesday, June 21, 2017 by Commissioners Rivas and Repenning? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. Agenda item number number two, Council District 14, revised emergency change order number 11, Skanska, Stacy, and Whitbeck, a joint venture, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to increase the not-to-exceed amount for emergency change order number 11 issued to Skanska, a joint venture, on April 10, 2017, to a revised not-to-exceed amount of $200,000 for task order package number 5, new viaduct for changes due to geometric control plan and erection manual and building information modeling and arch rib floor beam post tensioning ducts quantity and size. Ms. Allen will walk us through that, but before that, on agenda item number 2, I am told we have a speaker card by Mr. Spindler for what says on here the puppet. Mr. Spindler?
All right, go ahead.
Yes. So for the record, fuck you. Okay, now we have the $200,000 for ribs. And yes, we all need to have ribs. Ribs, like a Tony Roma's. Yes. You take the cow, which I am, and you take our brothers and sisters, and you slaughter us for your delicacies. Arch ribs, the same fucking thing. You do not need arch ribs for your tensioning ducts for $200,000. This is just another payback, payoff, yes. So what do? Pay off. How do we do it? Now. What do we want? Pay off. What do we do? Now. How do we do it? Pay off. Who do we pay off? The councilmen. How do we do it? Pay off. How do we do it? Now. Where do we pay off? In the garage. How do we pay? With prostitutes and dope and money. Yes, that's what we do. So, thank you for bribing Jose Huizar. He appreciates the Laker tickets. Go Lonzo Ball, yes. Now you have to give him his $200,000 because that's all this place is, this whole building. Look at the sky. Look at the city emblem up there. This is the place you come to rob and pillage. So if you want to make a lot of money, pay off the councilman first, then come here. And these 5 puppets will give you anything you want. There's no FBI, no state bar, no DA, and the city attorney's too interested lying about infractions being misdemeanors. Nah. Fuck you.
Ms. Allen on agenda item number 2.
Good morning, Julie Allen, Bureau of Engineering with the 6th Street Viaduct Program. Today I'm here to request approval to increase the not-to-exceed amount from $75,000 to $200,000 for an emergency change order number 11 for the 6th Street Viaduct Program, Package 5 Viaduct. Due to the complexity of the bridge structure, the contractor is required to bring on a construction engineer that analyzes every sequence of construction of the bridge to ensure that the displacements and the forces can be implemented properly so that 10 years after the completion of the bridge, it's in its exact alignment and geometry. So what they do is each stage of construction, they develop a computer model, and the computer model identifies how much the bridge is going to move when the concrete shrinks and when the post tension is tensioned and the arch cables are installed. And this model actually takes about 16 hours. Each time they make any change to the model, it takes 16 hours to run through. It's a very complex model. And to ensure that the contractor's model is predicting the behavior of the bridge properly, our designer does a parallel model. So the designer develops a model separately with different assumptions and makes sure that when these displacements are developed throughout the different sequences of the bridge construction, they end up with the same results. And this process takes several months to complete, and all the displacements are reconciled between the two models so that we ensure that the bridge is going to end up where we expect it to end up at the end. So for example, the bearings, when they're placed, they actually are 4 inches one way and 3 inches another way, so that by the time the bridge is done and all the equipment's moved around and the concrete shrinks, they're exactly where they're supposed to be at the end of the job. So it's a very complex situation that we work through. And as a result of this modeling and the interactive process, the designer also evaluates whether the stresses that the structure is going to encounter are capable, the structure is capable of handling those. And so some changes are required during this process, and that's what this change order has been issued for. Specifically, the changes are that we have changed the post-tensioning duct geometry. We've changed the number of cables so that the forces are sufficient, and we've also moved a couple of the floor beams around to make sure that there was no conflict with some of the false work that they need to erect. So originally, the Bureau of Engineering issued this emergency change order in March of this year. The contractor was implementing the changes and then notified us on May 10th that they expected this change order to exceed $100,000. They estimated it at $187,000 at the time. So we contacted our liaison commissioner and requested authority to increase the not-to-exceed ceiling to $200,000 to ensure that we could implement these changes in a timely manner and not impact the construction schedule. So we received that approval on May 11th, and we've now directed the contractor to proceed to continue implementing these design changes. As of today's date, 8 change orders have been executed for the viaduct package, totaling $669,000 approximately. A big majority of this was due to removal and replacement of hazardous soil that was identified on site, as well as implementing a sewer rehabilitation. And we have 23 change orders pending issuance, including this one, projected at $330,000 for a total of about $1 million, which is 0.5% of the overall contract. So I'll be presenting my quarterly report next week on this project, and we'll give you a lot more detail about the status of the project. But just for a quick intro of where we are today, we've installed 14 of the 23 10-foot diameter foundation piles, and they've begun the column and Y-bent installation on the east side of the river. They're also working in the river to do all the temporary work that's necessary to get out of the river by October 15th and be able to continue construction over that section. And they have progressed on the foundations and the retaining walls for the abutments on either end of the river. So that concludes my presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Allen. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Julie, thank you for the report. I understand, through the briefings, I understand the scope of work, what we need to do in terms of adjustments of the piles. I think part of the question is, are they best couched as change orders as we go forward, or are they part of the regular scope of work as we do 14 and we have 9 more to go? And are we going to be continually expecting change orders regarding the adjustments to this scope of work moving with the rest of the piles?
The geometric control manual will be continually evolving as the project goes on. This first phase of work was just for the eastern half of the bridge. They do it in phases because it's just so much work, and you want to be able to begin construction as soon as the development of the geometric control manual is progressed far enough. So we will expect to see some changes, but they shouldn't be very significant. If there was anything that affected the whole bridge, we would have identified that by now. There will also be continuing conflict modeling of all the rebar and other components inside the structure that if we find conflicts, we'll be making adjustments, but they aren't expected to be significant at this
Okay, so
point.
these modelings are a necessary part of the evolution of the bridge as it's built and as we find data and as we adjust moving forward, correct?
Correct. Yeah, this information couldn't have been known during design, but it was expected that we would identify conflicts and things that just needed to be adjusted based on the sequence of the work and the analysis of the models.
Understood. And the change orders are well within, a good tolerance in terms of us just getting started, although we have a little bit more work to do.
Yes, I believe so.
Great. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you. Anything further? I don't have any questions. Commissioner Santos made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We will send number 2 forthwith. Thank you, Julie. Agenda item number 3. Council District 14, construction budget revision and revised construction orders for Tomovich and Associates, recommending that the board authorize a revised construction budget of a not-to-exceed amount of $4,163,095.71. This is an increase of $163,095.71 above the existing budget of $4 million for the emergency sewer repairs to the north outfall sewer located at Mission Road between 6th Street and Jesse Street. And secondly, authorize the city engineer to issue revised construction orders up to $4,163,095.71 to Tomovich for the project. Let me see how this is. Mr. Spindler, you have a card in for the puppet.
Yeah, the puppet's going to defer. Yeah, I'm just watching, like, when these guys talk about technical revisions. See, I took calculus, I took engineering, I took physics, I took chemistry. See, when they talk about shit, I understand what it is. I could do it right here. So, when you have a building model and there's a fucking bridge, you just go into the software and you adjust the parameters and form an algorithm, and the computer will adjust it for you. You can do it half a day. You're going to spend $200,000 on that. It's calculus, right? X squared plus Y squared equals Z squared, 1/2 of the diameter. It's all there. I mean, this goes back to the Greeks that invented this shit, and Albert Einstein and Newton perfected it. And, they just get up here and ramble about, when we were going to build the bridge, we had soft soil issues, and the pH of the soil caused the rebar to cause an erosion, and we had to make adjustments. Please, they're here to steal, okay? It's okay. You don't have to hide behind all this technicality. You're wasting all this staff. Just come in with the report, submit it, and just deem it approved on unanimous consent. Let's just do it the Herb Wesson way. Herb's got it right. You're here, Herb understands in the other room. You're just here to give the money away. You don't want to hear all these reports. You don't want to listen to all of this stupid shit because none of you understands engineering. None of you has a background in engineering. The chair is a fucking entertainment attorney, okay? The other boob's a lifetime politician. The only honest one, he handled social services in the medical industry. And the one here,
2 minutes.
She's just typing on her little fucking...
Time's up, Mr. Spindler.
Snapchat.
Mr.
Look at me, a
Solorzano,
selfie.
you're up.
Good morning. My name is Rafael Solorzano from Wastewater Command Construction Division. I'm here to request to revise the construction budget and construction order for the sewer emergency at Mission Street and Jesse. This emergency began in July of 2016, where multiple failures occurred along the alignment of the NOS, and the Bureau of Engineering initiated the on-call procedures and contacted the next available on-call contractor, which was Tomovich and Associates. During the repair of the NOS, The NOS actually collapsed in several locations, causing a major sewer spill. The emergency response was to set up traffic control along Mission Road, to construct wet wells with pumps, and to backfill the sinkholes to stabilize the emergency for corrective work. The estimate cost for this job was estimated at about $4 million at that time of current invoices that we had and estimates from the contractor. A board report was adopted on December 9, 2016 for this amount. However, we received the final cost of this project recently. Tomovich and Associates submitted their final 4 invoices in an amount of over $144,000. They also requested to review their previous billing because a lot of the billings weren't paid for. Engineering met with the contractor to discuss their discrepancies, and the discrepancies were the United Pumping invoices, their labor and equipment rates. Engineering met with the contractor and negotiated several times with them. Tomovich did provide us with documentation supporting their invoices and clarification on United Pumping, as well as proof of insurance for their liability to use private property, as well as clarification for their equipment and labor rates. Engineering met with the contractor. We resolved the issue, and this is why I'm here requesting an additional $163,095.71, bringing the total project cost to $4.1 million. Is there any questions?
This ends it?
Yes, this finally ends it.
And the additional $144,000 from the final 4 or so invoices that resulted in the negotiations that went back and forth between the Bureau of Engineering and the contractor, the Bureau of Engineering is satisfied with the amount?
Yes.
And the amount's documented?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 3. Seconded. Commissioner Cento, any objection? With that objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Any issue sending number 3 forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. Thank you. Mr. Solorzano, also, given the, well, never mind. We're done. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let the negotiating team know that I appreciated their work on it. Thanks. I know what our potential was. Agenda item number 11, Council District 11, Above Ground Facility Appeal, 175 South Burlingame Avenue, recommending that the board deny Ursel and Rita Shikabaku's appeal of the Bureau of Engineering's determination to locate an above-ground facility adjacent to 175 South Burlingame Avenue. Mr. Liu, on agenda item number 11, but before you start, let me see what I've got here on number 11. Mr. Spindler, you got a card in here that says that you got an infraction, sir.
Yes, that's right, an infraction. And as you see again, don't misunderstand me. I like Herb Wesson, because my father and my uncle, they would have loved Herb Wesson, you know. See, back in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s, Herb Wesson does business
We're on
the
an
old-fashioned
above-ground
way.
facility appeal in CD 11.
Well, yeah, but everything goes through Herbie. I mean, Mike Bonin's the councilman. I mean, you're talking about a councilman that's a drug addict. The fuck does he know about anything? It's a drug addict, okay? So the drug addict wants to put, what, an above-ground facility in a nice area like South Burlingame Avenue? It's outrageous. A big, noisy, ugly, fucking above-ground facility in a beautiful area like this with the home values in the millions of dollars in that kind of area like that? That's not South Central. You can't step on these people. These people will sue the city. See, they're not like down in CD8 and CD9. They don't fuck around. Because when you fuck with people in CD11, CD5, and CD3 and 12, they go get lawyers and they sue. So I would sustain this appeal in full and hope the fuck that they don't go back, rule that what you're doing is void, ab initio, because that would constitute an illegal taking, right, counsel? You see, because in my safe, I have a memorandum prepared by Mike Fear's office that describes this issue. Okay, so this is an automatic win for the appellant in a writ of mandate. So save the city some money, but then again, you don't understand what I'm saying because
2
you're all
minutes.
confused.
Mr. Liu on agenda item number 11.
Good morning. My name is Warren Liu from Central District Bureau of Engineering. For this AGF appeal is location at 175 South Birmingham Avenue, and the company's the applicant is T-Mobile and consultant with Synergy at at Council District 11, and the position is neutral for the council district. Then the facilities applied for is one 48-inch high and 12-inch wide and 9.5-inch deep power meter cabinet, and also one 48 feet high utility pole with the antenna upgrade is exempt from the AGF ordinance. The parents are Ursel and Rita Shakimbu as adjoining property owners. They have 3 reasons to appeal. The first is the proposed antenna will cause sleeping problems for the daughter, and the second is proposed cabinet causes a health effect to the family members. BOE's response to the reason 1 and 2 is according to the Telecommunications Act of 1996, Section 704.B.2.4. No state or local government or instrumentally thereof may regulate the placement, construction, and modification of personal wireless services facility on the environmental effects of radio frequency emission to the extent that such facilities completely with the Commission's regulation concerning such emissions. The third reason is the proposed cabinet could lower the house value. BOE's response is the LA Municipal Code, Section 62.08, does not take into account the issue of AGF installations decreasing the property values as criteria of issuing or not issuing a permit. The appeal hearing held it on the Monday, June 5th, 2017, and Commissioner Jacinto's recommendation is to deny the appeal.
I'll make this every time. For the record, I don't buy I know what our official response is, that it's the issue regarding home value that we put out every time, but I don't buy the argument in 95% of the cases. Communities, if a community doesn't have broadband and cell service, that's going to affect the home values for a lot larger community if they don't have availability of the service. The service is important not only for emergency communications, but for communications among family members and for work that's being done related to school and regarding people's employment and everything else. Commissioner Jacinto, I would just ask regarding, since you conducted the appellate hearing, Mr. Campos, we don't have any cards on this morning, other than what we've heard?
Only the one you heard, yes.
Okay. So regarding the appellant hearing, the location is outside of a well-foliaged wall, correct?
It is, President James, and I wanted to make the clarification. There's an array, an antenna array that's going to go on an existing pole that is exempt. And what it's in front of us is the cabinet that goes outside of a fence, a tall
Right,
fence.
it's one of those cabinets, how many feet high is it, Mr. Liu?
This utility pole is 48 feet high, but
the pole.
is exempt from the AGF ordinance.
Okay, but what we're talking about is a cabinet. How high is the cabinet?
The cabinet height is 48 inch.
Okay,
And
so it's 4 feet high. From where I'm from, it's about yay high, but okay. And the apparatus that goes on the pole that you're talking about, Commissioner Cinto, is exempt.
It is exempt as the ordinance is existing, so the upgrade or the part that comes to us is really just the cabinet.
And the residents in or the residents that live on the property due to the well-foliaged wall will not see the cabinet, correct?
They will not.
It doesn't affect parking in the area either?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Repenning?
I just had a request about the photos in the board report. It's hard to see what they're not great in my opinion in terms of. So I think the ones on page 3 are after, right? So there's a photo of a pole with some cabinetry on it, or with some things. Is that after? The one at the top, or is that?
Yeah, the picture on the top is the utility pole, and the picture on the bottom shows that's the existing condition.
Okay, so the one on the bottom is the before picture of the pole.
The picture on the bottom shows the existing condition of the cabinet location they're proposing.
Okay.
Mr. Ledoux, could you help us out here?
Can you state the question again?
I'm trying to figure out, okay, so I see the page 4 photo. I'm trying to figure out which photo is before and which is after, and which shows the way that the pole is going to look after, and I see, I think the way that the cabinet is going to look after is the one on page 4. The photos are very poor, and it's hard to see what's
Here's a much
going on.
larger photo of both the cabinet and the existing. You will not find a lot of difference in the before and after picture of the antenna array on the utility pole, mainly because when they upgrade the antennas tend to be about the same length, but they're just a little wider and they're quite a bit thicker. So when you see the pictures, you don't actually see a lot of difference, and they will be taking some stuff off the pole, which is why the meter cabinet is being placed in the public right-of-way.
Okay, so
the lower left-hand.
The stuff at the top of the pole is actually going to be removed.
Right. The antenna array is not at the very top of the pole. The pole is 48 feet high, and I think the antenna array is somewhere around 4 feet below that.
Okay. Well, a couple of things on this is, I'm just trying to understand. So we're taking that equipment off the pole and we're putting in a cabinet instead.
That is, we're taking the meter off the pole, and that's a DWP requirement. The upgraded antennas are drawing a lot more power than the existing are, and according to their regulations, after they hit a certain limit, then they have to put in a meter cabinet. They can no longer have the meter on the pole.
The height of the pole remains unchanged.
The height of the pole, as far as I know, is not being changed.
Okay, well, to me, this seems like a better situation aesthetically than some of the other stuff we're encountering, including the use of existing infrastructure, which I appreciate. How high would you say that wall is, the foliaged wall?
Given that you're looking at a 4-foot-high meter, I would say that foliage is on the order of close to 10 feet.
I thought it was a 6-foot-high that was part of the building code. Mr. Jordan?
I thought so too. That issue, of course, is not before the board. I assume that wall, the foliaged wall, is actually on their private property.
Correct.
Not in the public right-of-way. I believe generally there is a height limit for walls and fences on private property. I think it is around what you were describing. It's really an issue for the Building and Safety Department.
Right, so
planning.
let's assume that they've gotten some sort of variance.
Yeah, they may have.
Nonetheless, I mean, to me, I see that there's this wall here, and to me, it's the argument that they have for not permitting the AGF is diminished by it. So I'm going to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Penning. Commissioner Rivas.
My questions were similar to Commissioner Penning's. I was just unclear about the photos, but you've cleared it up with her. But the only other question I had was, is the cabinet on the sidewalk? Like,
Is no
there
sidewalk.
There is no side? I
No,
just can't
it's
tell from the photo.
basically the curb, behind the curb, it's all sort of grassed all the way to the property line, to that wall.
Okay, so it'll just be like on the grass? Is that
Yes.
Okay.
And there will be a 5-gallon shrub on either side of it. And like I said, this is one of the smallest cabinets you'll see. It's only 12 inches wide by 9.5 inches deep. So it's not very big, and with some foliage on either side of it, it will hardly be noticeable.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it is probably the smallest cabinet I think we've seen. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you. Jeff and Warren, I just want to point out the confusing aspect, too, about the photo on page 4. It's double captioned on the top and the bottom, where it says before installation and after installation. That before installation should have been at the photo on page 3. So just catch that, and that might be contributing to some of the clarity of what is before and after. In our board report, it's double captioned on the top and bottoms, so you don't really know. But it's fine, understood.
Okay. Anything further? I would deny the appeal as well. There's not an intrusion here. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 11. Is there a second on it? Commissioner Jacinto and Commissioner Davis, any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 11. Any issue sending 11 forthwith? We'll send number 11 forthwith. Agenda item number 12, authority for expenditure, IHS Global Incorporated, the Bureau of Engineering, and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $49,353.71 for advanced payment of the renewal of an on-site license for online services and products, including the engineering codes and standards for the periods July 1, 2017 through June 19th, 2018, almost the complete fiscal year. Mr. Masabki?
Masabki, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and hear from you first. Go ahead.
Rafi Masabki, Design Center and Investigation Group, Bureau of Engineering. So yes, this was the second of two invoices. We split it by fiscal year. So the actual time window is June 19th, 2017 to June 19th, 2018. And this is our 10th year with IHS.
Could you speak up just a little bit for us?
This is this is the second of two invoices to cover the 1 year term. And so our 10th year with IHS this year, they provide us subscriptions for online engineering standards and codes. So we renew it every year. Some codes are dropped off, and then we add some more codes every year as needed.
Let's hear from Mr. Spindler, and then we'll come back to you.
Sure.
Let's hear from Mr. Spindler. You have a card in on this, Mr. Spindler. Let me see what characterization you've given this one. This one's for your puppet. All right. So, Mr. Masabki,
If you have any questions.
Again, just for the record, these are our online subscription services for the Bureau of Engineering
And ConEd.
Okay. Oh, and ConEd.
Yes. Yeah,
globally.
These are standards, mostly ASTM spec testing standards that we specify in our contracts.
Okay. And one of the things I normally like the info on, although I don't know that you've been before us to necessarily know this before, is this the same amount that we spend roughly every year?
Roughly, yeah. It averages about $50,000 a year. give and take a few thousand because some standards are dropped and we add some more.
Okay, so we're still in the same ballpark?
Yes.
All right, any other questions on number 12? Is there a motion on number 12 by Commissioner Cento, seconded by Commissioner Davis? Any objection? With that objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 12.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 12 forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Thank you, sir. Let's go back to agenda item number 1, Council District 3, above-ground facility variance near 20926 West Chase Street. First, approve the request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the AGF ordinance pursuant to LA Municipal Code, Section 6208 VB. And secondly, authorize mobility to install a 42-foot, 2-inch high wood monopole in the public right-of-way at the end of a cul-de-sac near 20926 West Chase Street. On number 1, Mr. Spindler, you put in a card claiming you have an infraction, sir.
All right, go ahead.
So yes, we're opposed to this item. Unlike the last item that actually is cost effective for a change, this bullshit is much, much worse. We don't want any more of these fucking monopoles in CD3. That's Bob Blumenfield's district. Yes, he was in the paper opening up a swimming pool, and he had a couple of, well, black children with them. I found out they're his. Oh. So the African-American councilman from CD3, Bob Blumenfield, is allowing too many wood monopoles to be shoved up the asses of people over there in Woodland Hills and Tarzana. No more. No more for the black Jew. No more. No more monopoles for the black Jew. No more. We cannot have that. If he wants to do monopoles, go to CD8 and CD9. They like them there. Marquise Harris Dawson likes wood monopoles because in CD8 and CD9, they haven't upgraded to steel yet. They will do it in 20 years. The people are tired of Mobilite everywhere in the valley with these fucking variances. And you can deny it, you must deny it. We have plenty of cell phone service. We have plenty of internet. Just look on your cell phone in the valley. It's 5 fucking bars everywhere you go. The evidence proves the puppet is right. No more of this shit. Deny it. Bob Blumenfield, the Valley Terrorist. Thank you.
Mr. Ledoux on agenda item number 1.
This is part of Mobility's build-out. This is a wood monopole, 42 feet 2 inches high in CD3, Bob Blumenfield's district. They are remaining neutral on this. As you can tell, the placement of this one is in a fairly inconspicuous spot. It's at the end of cul-de-sac. You see there's a roadblock there and a bunch of foliage and a sign, I think, that says end on it. I did not get an appeal on this, nor did I get any phone calls or emails pro or con on this particular item.
Commissioner Cento on number 1.
Thank you, Jeff. We are in the process of implementing a sign-off, primary sign-off from the Bureau of Street Lighting. That co-location is possible as our preference, and then if there is no possibility, then the monopole. What did we do with this one?
Well, this is an old one, actually. This one was applied for in May 26, 2016, so it's a year and a couple months, over a year old. According to Mobility, they did see if they could co-locate. There's a statement in the board report from them saying that they were not able to co-locate on this one. So this one's well beyond the time when we started these latest negotiations, but Mobility is saying they couldn't co-locate here.
Okay, so it's a self-declaration. Is there a shot clock on this one?
Shot clock is more than more than over on this one.
Okay, so due to the fact that we're out of the shot clock and Mobility self-states that there is no co-location, And given the location of a cul-de-sac, then it's reasonable that we grant this. I feel reasonable we grant this variance.
I would agree, Jeff, that the neighborhood, or rather the adjacent properties that received the notices were the closest properties as indicated in the board report, and you didn't get any responses back from any of those, correct?
No, I didn't. And the end of that cul-de-sac is actually next to a flood control channel. That's why I say this area is a decent area to place one of these, as far as it doesn't really impinge on anyone too badly.
Right. Thus, no response. So I'll support it as well. Anything else? Commissioner Cinto, is that a motion? I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Any issue sending number 1 forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. Mr. Ledoux, while you're there, everything we have left, Mr. Campos, the 7 items that we have left are all the Council District 14 AGF locations that we placed on the agenda for today, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Mr. Ledoux, is AT&T represented this morning?
No, they aren't, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. So I find that unusual. We've done a lot of these, right? And AT&T, they never not show up, do they?
I'm not sure. When I looked at my calendar this morning, I was off Friday, and I was not aware when I left on Thursday that I had more than the 2 items that actually came to a decision today. I saw that this morning when I came in, and I did give phone calls to both Synergy and AT&T to try to talk with them, and I was unable to get a hold of them. So that's probably why part of the reason they're not here. I do know that Synergy said they had a meeting, and that's why they could not be here. I know both these companies are talking about these sites and trying to get the information on whether they can be co-located or not, and whether they can go through with the co-location. I would, at this point, my communication with AT&T has said that they are willing to sort of sit on these sites until they've got all these negotiations settled.
Yeah. So what I would like to do here, I'm the one that, I was provided notice by our executive officers that we're up against a shot clock, in essence, on 14 of these. So in order to not blow the shot clock, I instructed them to agendize 7 of them. Those are the 7 that we're seeing this morning. So, Dr. Campos, I just want to confirm, when we place these on the agenda, we met the Brown Act requirements of the 72 hours on this, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So, and AT&T's, they're not ones to not represent themselves.
That's correct.
So what I would do then is, and I'm just going to make a record that they can listen back to, I want to continue these items to Friday. So what you will do, so Dr. Campos, tomorrow morning you can repost the agenda on 72-hour notice for Friday that will include these 7, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
We could post for Friday.
So, Jeff, if you could do me a favor, call either, I forget their last names, Kevin
Tamaki or
Yeah.
Noel Palais.
Yeah, right. And let them know that these were agendized today. They weren't here, so we moved them to Friday so they could be here. But here's the issue that I was going to get from them on the record. Based on what you just said, which I'm aware of, that they're already working with Council District 14. These are all in Council District 14.
Yes.
There have been a series of meetings regarding potential sites for co-location. We have been briefed along the way that they're close to getting most, if not all, of these co-located. I mean, there may be 1 or 2 drifters, but
That's correct.
or stragglers, but the rest of them, it looks like co-locations is likely. And I don't want to, but because I didn't want the shot clock to run on these, I put them on the agenda. So they could come here and in a public setting, they could agree to toll the shot clock long enough to get the global agreement entered into, in which we'll agendize all of these and enter into the agreement that disposes of all of the applications, one way or the other. So what I would like for them to do, and your communication to them would be that they come in on Friday with the authority to either toll the shot clock or not, but recognizing that my request would be that they toll the shot clock so that we can complete this agreement regarding co-location in the downtown corridor for the remaining outstanding applications, 7 of which are on the agenda right now. Then the other 7 we'll deal with, depending on what their tolling agreement is, we'll probably just re-agendize those with the tolling agreement. But we don't have to put them on the agenda if they toll the shot clock on Friday for all of them.
Okay.
Okay.
I can send them an email and CC you on that.
Great, thank you. Anything further on that? Then what we'll do is for agenda items 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let me just double check that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Those will be continued to Friday. And you've got everything else that you need on those items, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you. So with that, Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk other than general public comment?
Yes, you have.
Okay. Under public comment, Mr. Spinner, you have a card that says the puppet.
Yeah, so, very good. Global settlement agreement. Yes. What about Spindler versus City of Los Angeles? Where's the global settlement agreement in that? Where's the shot clock in that? How can you charge somebody with a fucking misdemeanor and reduce it to disturbing the peace infraction? And then the next 2 days later, the city attorney says the person pled guilty to an infraction to city news service. What do we call that?
Defamation.
Defamation! Yes, we call that defamation. What else is that? Yes, California rules of ethics violations, civil rights violations, Bain Act violations, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Anything else? Yes, we say fuck you. Yes, that's right. So we want on Friday, we want a written offer of settlement globally for Mr. Spindler's fucking cases, including this outrage last week. Read the LA Times today. They had to retract it. It's a fucking infraction. And the speaker card was free speech, just like now when I wrote fuck you, free speech. Yes, nigger, free speech. Crosses, free speech. Klan cartoons are free speech. People with nooses, free speech. A noose is free speech. And fuck you is free speech. Because you don't know that, the city is liable for punitive damages according to the Ninth Circuit.
2 minutes.
So fuck you.
Other than that, we cleared the desk. We have to close our neighborhood council category of commentary. We also have a speaker card from Herman on general public comment. Mr. Herman, not here. So have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Then we are adjourned. Thank you,
It says
everyone.
fuck you too. Yes.